Thank you. And now our case from Thailand.
Excellent. We'll just jump straight in. So let's look at the modern marketing era. I think if you were in the presentations yesterday, the fact that this session's overrun, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of shifts in terms of how we're marketing, how we're speaking with consumers. With the increase in digital and data and tech, we see a shift that goes from brands to consumers. So we've got these tech-savvy, digital-empowered consumers who say, I know what I want when I want it, and this is and where I want to receive things. So in that, how as a marketer do you deal with this, right? So shouting louder no longer cuts it anymore. It's actually finding those pockets and those opportunities to speak to your consumers in a more relevant way. But in that, and we heard this word and these phrases a lot yesterday, the right place, the right moment, the right person, and things. When we look at the world of programmatic, that's still relevant, and we're not saying that at all, but it's actually how do you move beyond this, right? So in that, you plan around the right person, the right moment, the right platform, the right person, and all these things, but then when you go to do the buy is still generic. You still buy moms, you still buy adults, you buy the cheapest sort of CPM and think that it's gonna still have the effectiveness with that richness. And then the worst case scenario is you've built a 400 segments media plan, but you've only created 4 assets. And really those 4 assets are one creative with 4 different formats. Yet we still expect we're gonna resonate through and we're gonna have effective communication and we'll hit our KPIs. So when we look at the Pepsi Test Nation campaign, this was actually a way to actually look at how do we bridge those 3 pieces? How do we take planning and the buying and the creative and actually merge them into one piece so you don't lose that granularity throughout that process and you don't have any dilution of that process throughout the thing. So in that, the food culture in Thailand's changed, right? So we saw some of this yesterday, but as a move towards people becoming more and more healthy, that changes people's behaviors, right? You want to eat healthy, the foods that you're having, you want them to be natural, you want it to be organic, and so on. So actually, as a CPG brand for Pepsi, how do you adapt to that? How do you adapt to that healthy lifestyle that people have to still tap into your loyal fans and boost sales and keep up with that piece? So when we started looking at, So when we started looking at Thailand, right, so in this you also have another shift, which is the Thai culture is actually becoming more and more, they want to sit down and eat at home. So if you're a snacking brand, how do you deal with that? If you're a brand that is really known for being on the go, how do you deal with dinners at home, I don't want my kids to eat unhealthy foods, and that trend's becoming more and more in that case. So when we started looking at Pepsi, we went, okay, well, this is going to be a really interesting piece of actually really finding those right moments, really finding that time when our campaign can be really, really effective against the right people. So in this, there were a few challenges. So for Pepsi in that self, it was how do you actually find those meal moments where you can actually tap into that audience in a new and an engaging way. The second challenge was, as all things, if you want a better, more effective campaign, you have to spend more. So how do you not spend more as a campaign, but still get that increase and maximize your dollars and your media performance? And then the third challenge, and actually was for Mindshare, as all things, and if you're agency side, is time was not on their effort. The data sets weren't in a right place. So actually, how do you come up with the solution that's actually going to drive action? And that's what Simon's actually going to take you through.
Good morning. So the way in which we address these challenges and work for a solution is through a new approach to media planning and buying at Mindshare, which we've called ANA. And what we do is we work with core data partners and DSPs and DCOs to find ways in which we can identify opportunities within targeting. So it's not about, as Tini said, it's not just about right place, right message, right time. It's making sure that we're communicating more effectively. And so one ways in which we do this is we make sure that we're defining an audience based upon their behaviors and attitudes and not proxies. And as well, we're making sure that we're utilizing the data and the available information to best modify our bid rates and our optimizations. And finally, we need to make sure that we're serving the right message, because if we're not showing the right message, then people aren't going to interact and aren't going to engage with what we're trying to say to them. So this here represents a traditional line item, a rule set, say 9 a.m. in San Sebastian with 100 people in the audience, and that's an optimistic number right there. And usually that gets split out for desktop and mobile because we have different strategies. And then what we found was previously the granular marketing strategy, which PepsiCo and a lot of clients create, gets diluted down to a simplified version. In this case, 14 line items, which was a previous campaign. What we've done with Anna is we've looked at the data we have to be able to create something of this magnitude. And in this case, we took the regions that they wanted to target, the 14, the 9 hours across the day they wanted to have an impact, the 7 days, 4 audiences they wanted, and across 2 device types, to create 7,056 targeting strategies, which is a 500 times increase. Now, this graph here not only shows the performance of our campaign, but also becomes our media plan, moving a shift from just solely Excel spreadsheets into how we can utilize code. And for context and scale, that highlighted box, 1/2 of that highlighted box indicates the number of targeting strategies that was used in the previous campaign. But it's not just within regards to buying and targeting. We have implemented this high-resolution strategy throughout the entire process, from the initial audience prospecting on the far left, to our performance, to our optimization, and to the message that we served the user and consumer. So what we did was we worked with YouGov and the respondent level data in Thailand to identify areas where there were people who had internet access and were the people we wanted to go after. We were able to identify that, unsurprisingly, areas of high population density were going to be more valuable to us, and we wanted to target towards desktop more, a finding which is actually borne out throughout the life of the campaign as well. And it's great if we create these 7,056 line items, but I think if you speak to any trader, their first question is going to be, well, how do we optimize them? And what we did was we worked with the AppNexus log-level data feed to identify opportunities in targeting. So what we were able to do is identify areas where we wanted to upweight the bid because of good performance against our KPI, or downweight the bid because of poor performance. And what we found as a result of the 3,000 optimizations we created was we increased our click-through rate, we had a reduction in our cost per click, and we had a reduction in our VCPM. So it's not just the fact that we were able to identify opportunities, but we were more able to efficiently allocate our clients' budget. And finally, as we spoke about before, it's all about making sure that it's the right message, because if you don't show the right message, then people aren't going to engage. So we work with Jivox to create over 250 combinations based around timing, background, food, and language. And the important fact that we did was we translated that buying strategy directly into the Jivox DCO platform. So our buying rules are the same as our media rules, our creative rules. So through Anna and through the effective analysis of the data feeds, the YouGov data, the AppNexus log-level data feed, and the Jivox optimization data, we have created a campaign which is able to accurately represent the client strategy without dilution. We've been able to more effectively allocate the media budget, getting better value for our clients' money. And we believe that this indicates the shift, this dynamic campaign indicates the shift into the programmable era. And I'll hand back to Tini.
So you can sort of see this was a really sort of different transformational sort of way to tackle that buying and planning for Pepsi. And if we can kind of go, any journey of transformation or disruption or anything really starts with one key step. So the first piece in this was phase one of a few that we're going to now have as a roadmap with Pepsi. Around one, how do you engage around your audiences as people? So stop defining them as demographics, but actually starting to move and shift to behaviors and moments around that. Second piece was actually creating that link and that intersection between the creative and the media that was being delivered. So not only did you have the right moment, the right person, the right platform, but you're actually starting to give them the right message to help them to convert through the funnel. The third piece was actually measuring efforts. So here we were optimizing against VCPMs and click-through rates, which was a first step. So how do you help buyers not really transform the way they work, but still in the same way that they're looking at, but in a new sort of innovative way, because they're optimizing now against 5,000 or 7,000 different campaigns. The next phase of this is actually how do you link those metrics, but also go a step further to say not just how do we optimize against media metrics, but actually how do we take your dollars and go to brand metrics, and actually are we driving the right awareness levels, consideration levels, purchase intent, and so on, and how do you optimize on that piece? And the fourth and more important piece was actually how do you manage that complexity and distill it down into an easy way for people to be able to instill this into their way of working without transforming and disrupting that piece that allows you to actually do those real-time changes when you see things aren't working. So in that's the beauty of what Mindshare has really built with Anna, was that ability to say, if something's not working, you can dial that down in an instantaneous piece rather than waiting 3 months or 6 months of going, ooh, that creative's not working, but I can't do anything because I don't have anything else in the pipeline. And this is a real beauty way of what we're trying to do with that piece. Again, this is phase 1. Hopefully next year we'll come back with some more innovative ways, but thank you.